Hello, hello. Hi. Hello. Hello. Hi. Hi, Earring Clock, Rock On Gameplay, Stormtrooper Hiders, Cairo, Nultier, Azamonra, Martin is so good. It's Saint, Conrad, Z, Monty, Gavermester, Rock On Gameplay, Dodo Ball, Earring Clock, Izuri P, Mashu. Is there anyone else? Raizan, hello. Izuri P, hello. Anyone else? Sakido, hello. Anyone else? Anyone else? Anyone else? IDAJ Artist, hello. Z, hello. Hello, hello. Hi, Shankar. Hi, Winklock. Dang, Blair jumping into it so quickly. Am I? I feel like, I don't know, it's the last time we streamed was not that long ago. It was like, what, 2 days ago? But I feel like because I took a break yesterday, like we were supposed to stream yesterday night, but I thought it would be better if I just rested my throat since my throat's been kind of like off lately. I think it was a really good choice. I think my throat feels a lot better now, so... But yeah, I kind of feel like maybe I forgot how to stream. I feel like starting streams are always like a little awkward, so... Yeah. You didn't even ask us to line up. Yeah, I mean, you guys were already so well-behaved and lined up already, so... Yeah. What were we supposed to do for yesterday's stream? Oh, I still hadn't decided. It was TBA, so to be announced, and I figured I would figure it out by then, but... either way, I was like, I should take a break, so not figuring it out didn't even really matter, so yeah, glad to hear that in your voice. Thank you. Yeah, I just want to be a little careful because my throat is very important. Being able to talk is very important, so yeah. Thank you. Priorities, your health. Thank you. I'm glad you guys are very understanding. Yeah. Streaming muscles need a warm-up. Yeah! You guys will help me, right? Good evening, Lazy Sloth. Hello. Did you enjoy your break? Yeah, my day off? I did. I actually, I was playing some games with, a friend that I had just kind of started getting to know. So it was fun getting to know this new friend, and then after that, what did I do yesterday? I really do think I just kind of rested. I feel like I might have done a bit of work, but nothing like that crazy. Yeah, I did pick up a new TV show. I think I spent most of my nights watching it. I finished the previous TV show that I was talking about, the reality dating show or whatever. The one called Better Late Than Single. Yeah. So I actually finished watching that, and I have so many things to say about it, but I know some of you guys actually started watching it. You guys sent me some Maros about like, oh, since you talked about that show, I ended up watching a little bit of it. I'm like, shit! Now I can't spoil anything for you. Yeah, but I finished it, and I started watching this other show. It's also another Korean show, but it's not a K-drama, it's not a dating show. It's a competitive survival show. Basically it's called Siren. I don't know when it aired, but basically it's just like I think there's like 6 or 7 teams, and each team is like a what would you call it, like a security force? I don't know. But like there's like a police team, there's a firefighter team, there's a bodyguard team, there is a soldier team, stunt team, blah blah blah. Just basically like a bunch of people who are actual professionals in that field, who came to represent their job, and they like compete against each other, and they try to survive on the island until there's like only one team left. Yeah, I've seen that on Netflix. Yeah. So I thought it was like kind of like, I I wasn't sure about the show when I first watched it, but I started to get really invested in it. Because there's this one team that I really like. I really like the firefighter team. So I'm like cheering them on and stuff. But yeah, I'm not into reality TV, so you can yap to me about it as much as you like. Yeah, honestly, I'm not really that into it either. It's just like, I think it's just my fixation, my fixation right now. Yeah. Is it all men or co-ed? It's actually all female. It's an all female cast. So yeah. Like, some of them are real. Like, honestly, they're such a character though. Some of them have really like such distinct personalities. I don't know. It sometimes feels like I'm watching anime. That's cool. Yeah. But I don't know. When I was watching it, I was like so worried that they would get hurt. Yeah, but if you're interested, you can watch it too and let me know in the morrows what you think about it. But I just don't want to talk about it too much because I don't want to spoil it for you guys if you do end up watching. Yeah. I think the only Competition K reality show I've actually watched is that Physical 100 show, and it was okay. I don't think I've heard of that one. I know I've been like super into reality shows lately, but I haven't watched that many, so yeah. What's it called? It's called Siren. You can find it on Netflix. Like, I don't know if they have it on any other what's it? Sorry, I'm adjusting my seat right now. I don't know if they have it on any other like broadcasting or subscription. I don't know what you call them. Yeah. Siren survived the island. Yeah. I think that's probably like the full name. Just wanted to say hello. It's late. I'm going to bed soon. Alright, thanks for stopping by, Martin. Good evening, boss. Hi, Jack. Welcome in. Did you ever watch Terrace House? Yeah, I did watch a little bit of it. I forget which season I watched, but I just didn't end up finishing it. I don't know why. Like, nothing really... There wasn't really anything wrong about it, but... just for some reason, I couldn't really get into it. Yeah. Maybe I just really need to watch something about my fellow Korean. What the fuck? What was that? What the? Okay, maybe I was just... Yeah, I thought it was a bug. Sorry. Huh? Where did it go? It's not on my head, is it? Get the bottle? I don't have any empty bottles on my desk. I cleaned my desk. I'm just gonna hope it was just a fly. Oh, brother. Yeah. Only Korean reality I've watched is The Genius. Oh, I don't think I've watched that one. I think the only ones I've watched are the two that I just talked about. Singles Inferno, Culinary Wars, and The Influencer. I think those were the only ones I've watched so far. They're all on Netflix. Don't worry about the bug, though. Don't worry. I think it was just a small fly. It just flew really close to my face, so I freaked out for a second. Yeah. Is there fire involved in the show? The Korean title is listed as Siren, 불레선. Yeah, so it's just Siren because there's like a the main what's it? One of the main aspects of the show is that there's like a random siren that will there's a siren that will go off at random times, and that's like a signal for like a new battle round or whatever. But yeah. I mean, you'll see if you end up watching it, but I enjoyed it. They honestly, like, right off the bat, the show looked super difficult. I think it's okay if I talk about the first episode because there's not much to spoil really by then. But all the contestants are basically like dropped off at a mud flat. I think that's what they called it. And they basically have to like race across the fucking mud flat from one island to another, and they also have to like drag this heavy ass flag too. It's like they said it was like 100 kilos or something. Was it 100? No, 60 kilos I think. 60 kilos. Yeah. And so like it was crazy difficult looking because their legs would sink into the mud like up to their thighs, and I'm like, holy shit. I think if I were them, I would simply just give up. Wanted to say hi before takeoff. Hello and goodbye. Is this like a game show or something? It's not a game show. It's more like a survival competition. Yeah. I think talking about any part of the show you watch is fine if you just give a spoiler warning. That's true, that's true. But I don't know, that's always what I've been up to lately. I've just been watching Netflix. Just been watching Netflix in my room, and then after a while of like watching maybe like 2 or 3 episodes, I'm like, okay, I should probably not watch Netflix my whole entire day, because then I'll feel really unproductive and I'll feel bad about myself. So I then do a little bit of work, and then I watch some more. Yeah, your bouldering skills would carry you, I'm sure. Actually, one of the teams is an athlete team, and one of them boulders. So I saw that and I was like, huh, I wonder like in what scenario would a boulder, like what advantages would a boulder have? Like a boulderer have versus like a fucking soldier, because like the soldier team is stacked. They're like, apparently, I think if I recall correctly, they said they were like from like the top 0.1% of the army or something, and I'm like, huh, isn't that kind of OP? Yeah, so there's the firefighter team, there's the police team, there's the soldier team, stunt team, athlete team, and bodyguard team. I think that was it. Yeah. But on the other hand, pretty men and women. Oh no, it's just women. There's no men. There's no men in that show. They're all the contestants are women. I don't know. Some of them are super, super cool though. I'm like, wow. Yeah, just like Blair for real. Oh no. No. They're on a completely different level. These are like national championship level athletes, by the way. Yeah, imagine a team of esports athletes or streamers. Oh, they would die. I feel like gamers are like sticks. Sounds really similar to Physical 100. Different types of athletes have advantages in certain tasks. Weightlifters struggle with climbing, etc. Ooh, maybe I'll check that out later. Is that a Korean show? I'm trying to feel better about myself watching so much Netflix by watching Korean stuff. So like I treat it as like what's it? Indirect learning material, since I'm studying Korean now. It is Korean. Oh, okay. I would check that out. Thank you. But yeah, that's basically what I've been up to. Yeah. Oh, I feel like it's only been like one day that I took off, but I feel like so much has happened yet not a lot at the same time. But yeah, feeling a bit less stressed hopefully. Oh yeah, I woke up a little stressed earlier this morning just cause like I just woke up to this two really loud sounds, and I was like, oh, yeah, that's all, but I'm okay now. But I don't know. I feel like lately I've been like kind of stressed. Not because of like specific like events or anything, but just because like in the background things are like triggering my anxieties. Yeah. Megan Echo senses tingling. Oh yeah. But anywho. Thanks for the head pats, guys. But anywho, today we are here for the art critique. I was so worried no one was gonna submit anything because, like, I think in the first couple of days no one did. And I was like, damn, am I really just gonna have no submissions? Maybe like 1 or 2 will roll in at last minute. I guess I'll just have to drag that out for like a stream's worth, but a lot of you guys ended up submitting like yesterday, and I think a few rolled in today, maybe? I don't really remember. Yeah, hi Blair, hi Fernando, welcome in. It took me time to react and submit. No worries, no worries. I feel like I gave you guys like just enough amount of time to like submit anything if you wanted to. I don't know, maybe I should give you guys a little more time. I wasn't expecting you guys to make anything new for this though. That's one thing I wanted to clarify. You didn't have to make something completely new for it. Yeah. Blake? Who's Blake? Great to see you. Also, speaking of art, hats off to whoever made the artwork for the next ASMR stream. Ah, yeah, that was Fujinari sensei. Fujinari sensei. Yeah, oh my god, when I was titling that stream, I was like, are people going to think this art looks witchy enough? Or are they going to assume this is more of a made art? Because the title is like, a mischievous witch captures you or whatever, right? But I'm looking at it, I'm like, I don't know if people will immediately be able to tell from the thumbnail that that's a witch. Because it is also very maid coded. It's like a mixture of both. So, yeah. Hopefully it's fine. I'm still only on paper with my art journey, so I would have submitted something. Or I would have submitted something. I mean, you could have just taken a picture. Yeah, or scanned it. Yeah. Did anyone make new nickel furniture? Since the doodling stream? I don't think so. I'm not aware. Yeah. Mine isn't new, but I really like it. Yeah, and that's completely fine. It didn't have to be anything new. Yeah, the commission from Throne a while ago. Yeah, the one you guys funded. It came out so well. I want to use that art again, but the next time I use it for an ASMR stream, I'm gonna make it more maid coded, I think. The reason why I didn't make it maid coded this time was because I think we kind of had like another maid related, like centered ASMR, so yeah. For some reason, I don't think the outfit will be the first thing people notice. Oh, okay, I mean, I don't want to force the concept on an art piece if the art piece doesn't support the concept, you know what I mean? So like, if people look at that art piece, if they were to tell me like what it is, and like they couldn't get witch from it, then I would feel a little embarrassed titling that ASMR stream like something witchy related. I don't know. Yeah, but anywho, we do have quite a couple of submissions for the art critique, so we should get started actually. Yeah. Shall we? Yeah! Okay. So, first up, we have Punta. Very, very cute submission. Thank you for the submission. Also, before I even start, I do want to say though that I am not like a professional, so like you can either take my advice or not. They're just my opinions. So please don't get offended. I will obviously be respectful to every submission, of course, because we want this to be constructive. But please do keep in mind that I am trying to give advice, but I'm not like a professional, right? So like I could be right, I could be wrong, and it's up to you whether you want to take my opinion or not. So yeah. You get paid for art, man. But that's different. That's not. I don't work in the industry. I feel like in order to actually be called like a professional, you have to be working in the industry. I'm more what you would classify as like a kind of like a freelancer, I guess. It's more like a casual kind of thing though, I feel. Cause I feel like most of the stuff that I do is mostly for personal commissions. You know what I mean? Yeah. But anywho, yeah, like a casual part-timer. Yeah. It's not my main gig, so. Anywho, yeah. So this first submission is from Ponta. Thank you so much for the submission again. I believe these are all mascots of VTubers, including mine. It's you guys right there. Wait, you guys see my cursor, right? Hold on. Yes. This is the Mega Neko. That has to be the Mega Neko. And then I believe these are the fan mascots of this is Tori's, this is Pico's, and this is Mocha's. Yeah. Some good friends of mine. Let me just pull up what exactly Ponta... If Ponta had anything to ask. Cause I know for some submissions they did have questions with their art. So let's see. Ponta says... Okay. Ponta says, hello princess. Princess? Thank you so much for being so sweet and letting us post here. I'm just a little guy, who usually sticks to flat-colored emotes, stamps / stickers, and chibi doodles. But lately I've been watching videos about shading and lighting. My brain hurts, and this is my first attempt at trying it out. The background is straight from the chainsaw opening. I erased the characters and drew on top of it. The scene inspired the whole idea. I'd love to hear what your highness thinks. I'm still super new, but I had a lot of fun. Okay, so it looks like you want to know you need advice for shading and lighting. Okay, shading and lighting. Got it. What's really interesting though, I'm kind of curious if this is just because you painted, if it's just the way you painted over like the Chainsaw Man background, but you kind of have this like this, what do you call this again? Like this bloom effect going on. That's on purpose, right? That wasn't just you painting on the background, I think. It gives off a very like photo-like feel, like a photograph feel. Bloom will do that type of effect. I'm not sure exactly if you're going for that, but if you want more help with like lighting, bloom is definitely one way to do it, but that's kind of like a stylistic lighting choice, I feel like. I think in terms of lighting and shading, what you could work on is kind of figuring out your light source, because when I'm looking at each character, like for example, if we look at the Mega Neko mascot and the Gooba mascot, I feel like the Gooba's mascot lighting, if we look at the shadows here, there's a lot more shadows towards like the bottom, and then there's like bright highlights at the top. That could also just be because of the material that the Gooba is made out of, because it's like a liquid coffee kind of material, right? So like it's going to reflect a bit, but you have to keep in mind that where you put those reflections are going to indicate where the light is coming in from, right? Same thing with the Mega Neko, even though it's Mega Nekos have fur, right? So it's not going to reflect as much as the Gooba. You have to keep in mind like where the shadows and the lights are going to be hitting. So there's a lot of shadows going on around like the edges, the outer edges of the Mega Neko. So this feels like the lighting is actually just shooting like straight at them, kind of like, you know, like when you're walking across the street like this, and like a car's headlights are like beaming at you. Mega Neko kind of looks like that here. But for Gooba, it kind of looks like the lighting is coming from like above them towards like the left side. Yeah. So just keep that in mind when you're doing the lighting for each character. And usually a really easy way to block out lighting and stuff is like, I've learned this from another artist, but you just want to work with big blocks of shadows. So don't worry too much about like tiny details and stuff, and just like when you have your flat colors, what you want to do is like hold on, maybe I can demonstrate like really quickly here. Sorry, I'm also going on like super like I feel like I'm going super like analytical mode right now. So if I'm not making sense, you can tell me to slow down or like try to explain a bit slower, or just like repeat what I said. Yeah, shadows at the bottom also seem to imply lighting is mostly from above. Yes, that is also a very good point. And yeah. You just really want to keep in mind where the light source is coming from. So it's a little confusing here. So like, say we want the lighting to come from like up here, right? Like this way. Sorry, I'm also drawing with my mouse, so just keep that in mind. Then, what's it? We're going to have the shadows like, whatever is like kind of like facing away from that light, we're gonna put like that. Just kind of like try to imagine if each thing were like orbs, because it's very easy to shade like a sphere, right? Just try to imagine things as spheres. Make that a little darker. Oops. Just trying to clean up some areas. Yeah. But this depends on where you want the light to hit. Yeah. So yeah. That's a really quick way to get kind of like a pretty base lighting. And then once you have like the overall shapes of the shadows, you can go in and kind of adjust them to match like the type of material it is, right? There's gonna be more reflection on like liquids than say like fur, right? But yeah. Also, I think what's unique about this too is that this mascot here, Tori's mascot, the wisps, is literal fire. So you might have some light. This might actually be a light source too. So, you would see maybe shadows like going against that. So like, you know, the lighting is going out here, right? So yeah. But yeah, thank you so much for your submission. What color you use to give shadows? Do you use the same brush as well, or use a different one? Brush or color? Or maybe those are just two different separate questions. What colors? It depends. I just right now just to quickly demonstrate, I just used black black on a multiply layer, but it depends on the lighting, what color the light is, and also like what kind of what's the word, color scheme you're trying to go for too, I feel like. This feels like a very natural lighting, so you might just go with like a very muted like blue. Yeah. And then reflective light is always like, just imagine what's it? Let me think. Because okay, so reflective light, how I've always approached it is like, so you see the lights, let me 1 second. So you see the light coming in this way, right? For Mega Neko-kun, right? Reflective light is when it hits an object and basically just reflects off, right? So there's gonna be another set of light bouncing onto the shadows. but it's going to be weaker than your main light source. And it's going to reflect whatever whatever object it reflected off, it's going to reflect that color of the object. So since Meganeko-kun is blue, you would see kind of like a bluish reflective light. Obviously, in certain scenarios, it might be a little different, right? So something like that. Obviously, not this exact like shade or whatever, but basically, very, very, very quick concept idea. Yeah. Tip. Blue Magic Woman. Yep, that's me. That's me. Yeah. So anywho, we must move on because there's a lot. But thank you, Punta, for your submission. Next up, we've got Psycho. Thank you so much for your submission. Let me pull up what you had to ask for this. Okay. So you said, it feels super off, and quite frankly, this is where I get hung up most of the time. I just can't get past the stage. Get past this stage often as a result. I'd love any advice and critique you got. Will be VOD watching as I'm at work while stream happens, sadly. Hi! I hope work is going well, or hope that work went well. Yeah. Since you'll be watching this after work. But hi, thank you so much for your submission. I see you drew me in my artist-made outfit. Thank you. It's very cute. So it looks like... Oh, hold on. Oh, wait. Hi, Raiders. Hello. Hi, Tia. I was lurking your stream earlier today. Are you nervous for debut tomorrow? But hello, if you don't know who I am. Hi, my name is Blair Labri, and right now we are doing an art critique stream. I am a self-proclaimed artist, so I asked my viewers to submit their arts for some critique. And yeah, that's currently what we're doing right now. So I'm in like super like art analytical mode right now, so I might sound a little more, I don't know, I wouldn't say intelligent, but locked in? I don't know. Yeah. Labri, the demoness is dead. What? Tia? Is Tia dead? Is Tia a demoness? But yeah, hello! Welcome in! I hope Tia gets some nice rest. I think it's probably pretty late where she is. But yeah. Welcome in. And yeah. Okay. So we will get back to what's it? The art critique. So so it seems like your issue with your art, so it seems like, okay, it feels super off. You're pointing to here. Let me get my brush. So you're pointing here. Is it the hair that you need help with? It seems like okay, I will give you like tips on how to draw hair, and then maybe like perhaps like anatomy is maybe what you're asking for, or just like okay, let's start with the hair first. Yeah, this is a nice drawing here. Yes, it is. It is. So, let's start with the hair first. Since this is what you were pointing at. Hair, what's it? How I see it, you have to imagine where is the volume of hair and how does gravity affect that, right? So like certain hairstyles will have like more volume because it's specifically styled in that way. So there's actually two things you have to worry about. Is that the actual like hairstyle? Is that the shape of the hairstyle? And then two, how does the physics affect that while still keeping the shape of the overall hairstyle? Does that make sense? So for like example, when you look at my model, you see how you see how my hair at the ends, they kind of curl outward a little bit, right? But say I was like a rocket ship and I was like ascending into the sky, right? The gravity would be pulling my hair down so much that you wouldn't really see those curls anymore. The outward curls, right? So obviously that's a super exaggerated example, but based on your pose here, I think we don't have to worry as much about the gravity or like the physics that are going to affect this hair, unless you wanted this pose to be a little more like if you wanted to have a little bit more movement. But this kind of just looks like I'm striking a pose for like the camera, right? So I think we should just think about how to make the hair look flattering and kind of mimic the shape of the original hairstyle, right? So I think the issue first is that it seems like this hair here could maybe be slimmed down a little bit and then curve a little bit outward, so it like when you have this little lump here, it feels as if the hair is sitting on top of the shoulder, right? Because generally hair, it's going to hang downwards near your scalp until it actually like hits like a surface, if that makes sense. Yeah. And then if you need help with like the ends here, typically what my general rule when it comes to drawing the ends of hair is that the further away from or like or let me phrase this correctly. The closer it is to the outer edge, right? The thinner the strands are gonna be. So, also I'm like drawing with the mouse again, by the way, so just keep that in mind. So, say this was like a strand. You see what I'm doing here? The strands that are closer to the outside are thinner, and the ones that are closer to the inside are thicker. Because if you think about gravity or like physics or whatever, it's just how do I phrase this? Like if you think about physics, the hair is generally going to stay closer to like its original source, which is like your head. So the further away it is from your head, the more it's going to like fray off, if that makes sense. But also you can also approach it where like if you think about individual actually I could just undo this. Hi, hello White Autumn, hi Megan the Megan Echo known as the fantastic Mr. Fox. Sorry. I'm on very what's the analytical mode, so it's hard to multitask. But if you also think about strands too, individual strands that are like sectioned off, right? Sometimes you'll see like little mini strands on both sides, right? So how do you approach that, right? My generic rule for that is you're still going to find longer, thinner strands on the outside away from the head, and if you're going to have like strands closer to the face that are still going to split off, make sure they're not as long as the strands on the outside. You can maybe make them as thin, but I generally for me I keep them a little thicker. And so it gives off a nice loose feel, but still like keeping the overall shape, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? So yeah, I think this could help a lot with this area because it looks like each individual strand is kind of the same like length. They break off at different areas of the main strand, but their overall length is about the same and about the same thickness too. So try varying the length of the strands that break off from the main strand, and also varying how did I say length? Yes, length and thickness. So I think we could have like, if I were to draw this, I would have like one like that maybe, and then this will be like the main body of the strand, and then like maybe like another one here if you really wanted to, something like that. Yeah, thickness. So yeah, I hope that helps. I think that's all you wanted I think that was the thing that was bothering you with this drawing, I believe, right? I think so. Everything else is coming out great though. I think if you really want to push this pose further, what's it? You can think about line of action, or yeah, line of action, which is basically if you put like if you draw a line from the top of the head, if you draw a line from the top of the head to like the bottom of the feet, I mean it's obviously cropped, right? If you draw a line like something like that, if you push this line more by adjusting the angles of the body, you will have a more fluid what's it, pose. And like I think you could even like overextend my forearm a little bit this way. Obviously not too much because, you know, joints don't work like that. Then that could also make this arm feel a little more like a little cutesy, you know what I mean? Like yeah. So what you're saying is bold characters are easier to draw, gotcha. I mean, to be fair, the less you have to draw, the easier it's gonna be, obviously. That's why sometimes it's just easier to draw people in their underwear than their actual outfits, you know what I mean? And then another thing that can maybe help this pose too. I mean, I don't know if you're going to make this pose feel like super like fluid, or if that was the vibe you were going for. But you could even play with my big ponytail in the back and like have it like flow like that way. Like you can already see with the lines that I'm drawing. Like you can already kind of imagine how the movement of the piece could make it feel like more there's more to look at, I think. Yeah. I think this arm can stay though. There's not really much you can do with this pose besides maybe even like pushing like the fingers, making them curve a little bit outward. Like that. Could even like help push the pose a bit, and maybe even rotating this hand a little that way so that the arm kind of like the forearm with the hand kind of poses like that. You know? So anywho, I hope that helps, and thank you for your submission. I must move on to the next one. Yeah, if Blair is double jointed, the pose can get even more extreme. True, I am a little double jointed. Thank you. I will use that excuse the next time. Wait, huh? Wait, what excuse? Are you talking about drawing people naked? I mean, people might look at you weird. I'm just gonna let you. I'm just gonna let you know that. I'm just going to let you know that. Yeah, that is the right phrase. Lazy Sloth, thank you so much for the super. Blair Sensei, hee. I hope it helps. I don't know. Yeah. Okay, next. We've got Dorobo. This is a very cute fan art of Mimi, I believe. This is Mimi, right? Mimi. This has to be Mimi. This looks like Mimi. Yeah. Very cute. Thank you so much for your submission. Let me see what you had to ask. For this. Yeah. Miura. Yeah. Also known as Miura. Dodobo says, this is my latest and favorite drawing. No matter how many times I look at it, her pose just seems super stiff, so I really wanted some advice on how to fix that stiffness and how to improve my coloring. I need a burp, 1 second. Oh, I look forward to your guidance, Blair Sensei. Thank you! Thank you so much. Okay, so pose. We just talked about this, so we can just kind of what's it? go through it again with this example. So if we draw the from the top of your head, X here, and then imagine the feet is like, I don't know, it's cropped off, right? But if we draw down the body, it's like something like that. So immediately start pushing what's it, this line here. So maybe you can like tilt the head like this way and then like move the torso out a little forward and then like have her butt stick out a little more this way. Immediately the line will start looking a little bit more S. S is having like an S curve kind of feel with your line of actions will make your pose feel less stiff. I think you're doing a great job with this hand though. Because if I connect the tips of each finger, it creates a really beautiful arc here. That's great. Keep that. And then the arms are fine. I think once you push the torso and like the torso and like the hips a bit more, along with the head, I think the pose will start looking a little more fluid. Yeah. As for coloring though, to be honest, my coloring is also like not the best, so I'll do my best to give you advice for this. But I think because Mimi's design is very pink, right? This is just a personal, like, this is just more like a stylistic choice. You could try playing with colors that, like, if you think about color theory, right? Pink, the opposite, like the exact opposite. I know there's like a correct term for this, but I don't know actual terminology when it comes to color theory. But if you look at the exact opposite color on the color wheel for pink, it's probably going to be, I mean, this pink is more of like this is closer to a cooler tone pink than a warmer tone pink. So you could work with the yes, complementary. Complementary. Yes, that was the word I was thinking of. You could put some like you can put some of that complementary tones. Not too much though, because you still want to stay on model, right? You can use that in the reflective light. So like I can imagine like in like the back of her hair here, you could put a little reflective light there. You could put a little reflective light here where the light bounces off her thigh and onto the skirt. Usually what I do, reflective light will be using a complementary. Am I even saying that word correctly, Lamel? Complementary. Complementary? Complementary, whatever. Tone. But honestly, your coloring is pretty solid. Like this is very clean shading in my opinion. I think if I were to change it, it would just change the style of your shading. And I'm not necessarily sure if that makes it better. It's just a different type of shading, you know what I mean? But yeah. One thing I have learned though when it comes to shading or coloring and stuff is if you put this into like black and white. Give me 1 second. If you put this into black and white, you see? You can really see the contrast that you have in your coloring. Generally, it's better to have more contrast, so it's easier to make out the shapes of your coloring. Just push your darks and push your highlights. And then I think that'll help push your coloring a bit. Perhaps without changing the style of it. Yeah. Complementary. Oh, complimentary! That's how you say it. Okay, thank you. Anywho, thank you so much for your submission. I hope that helps. I'm sorry, I feel like if anyone asks me for advice about like coloring, lighting, and rendering or whatever, I'm not gonna have as much helpful advice, but I'll do my best. English, I know. And I'm not even... English is not even my second language. You know, it's really funny because sometimes people ask me if English is my second language, and it hurts. It hurts. I'm just bad at talking, okay? I'm just bad at talking. Wow. Okay. Next. It is not my... It is my first. It is my first. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Hi. Okay. Next up, we've got a submission from Grim Jow. You know what's really funny about these art critiques, though? There are some people that I'm like... There are some people who submitted stuff, and I'm like... I had no idea this viewer drew. What the heck? Why am I only just finding out now? And that's what I felt like with Grim. I didn't know Grim drew. I feel like I might have known in the back of my head, but then like I saw this and I was like, huh? Yeah. Yeah. But anywho. Thank you so much for your submission. This is really cute. Let me pull up what you had to ask about it. 1 second. 1 second. Sorry. Oh, okay. I don't think you asked anything specifically. Okay, cool. Then I will just give my generic advice for it. I think first, I think you can push the shadows of the hair more. I think that's the first thing that sticks out to me. And you can also push the shadows within her eyes as well. I believe this is Serena. Very cute fan art. But I think you can push the shadows of her hair a bit. So like how I would maybe approach it is, I think what you have, it works very well for a base, but you can add, you can layer on top of it a bit more. So usually how I approach shading hair is a lot of fun in my opinion. It's probably one of my favorite things to shade. So just take like color drop. I drop like the shadow that you have here. Make it a little darker and then change the hue accordingly to the light. So this is kind of like a cool, she's like in a wintry like bluish tone, right? So I would change the hue a little closer to the cooler tones. And then what I do is kind of like where the outlines of the shadows are, I will kind of like outline that. I think this needs to be a little darker. Just to kind of make it easier to block out the shadows, if that makes sense. Obviously, with a better brush. So I'm drawing this with a mouse and there's no stability, there's no like, pressure. Like so. Like that. And like if I like zoom out a little bit more, like you won't really notice the really crappy brushwork that I'm doing, but like it's easier to see those shadows and they stick out a bit more. Yeah, block out the shadows a little bit. I think that will help push the hair. And then you can also make these eyes, I mean, it could just be a stylistic choice. I know some people don't like to make the eyes too like contrasty, but I think you can push these a little bit more if you wanted. Maybe I'll use like an airbrush instead. Oh my god. I feel like I'm like butchering someone's work. Maybe can even go a little darker. Yeah. Like you can really push the darks, I think. I grab this and like... Ooh. This brushwork is so bad. But like... just things like that will help the lighting a bit. Or not lighting, the shading. Yeah. If I zoom out, you don't see the crappy brushwork, but You see it, right? You see it. Yeah, just cleaning up this brushwork a little bit. It's still gonna be really bad no matter what I do. But yeah. So that's one thing I would say to do. And then another thing too is because the background is very cool. I think what it also it's like the Serena's character design, like the design itself is a very warm color palette, so you're kind of working against the design because the background, like the environment is a very cool lighting, so it's going to push the warm palette that she has a little more to a cooler tone. So that's not necessarily a bad thing though. So let me just like, maybe I can do some really quick, like if I just select subject maybe. Oh, okay. I'm using Photopea, by the way. Okay. If I thought I saw a bug in the corner of my eye, but I think it's just my hair. Okay. Okay. That's fine. That's fine. It's not like I have trauma where I thought I saw something in the corner of my eye on my hair and it was actually a giant spider. Yeah, okay, well, okay. I think this is gonna take too long, but what you can do is basically, because you probably have the art file, you like, I don't know what program you use, right? But if you have the layers all separated and stuff, take just the layers that have Serena on it. You can, and then like duplicate and then flatten them all. And then get a what's it, gradient map. And then, sorry, my throat. I need water. Second bug hallucination today, Blair. Oh, I get those a lot, actually. I think I might be a little traumatized. But, hi, Marcos, welcome in. Once you duplicate all of them and flatten them so they're all on one layer of just Serena, slap a gradient map on top of it and make the gradient map like a coolerish tone. And then sometimes this is just how I cheat. Take the new gradient map Serena layer, and then you can change the blending mode on top of like the original Serena layers, and you can adjust it so that it fits the background. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, I hope that helps, and then we'll move on. But thank you so much for your submission. Okay. Next up, we've got Raison. I believe I saw Raison in the chat earlier, right? I think I did. Are you there? Are you there? Or what? Yeah, you are here. I feel like you were. Yeah, hi! So, thank you so much for submitting. This is your piece. You know, when I saw this, I actually immediately recognized where you referenced this from. This is referenced, right? This is referenced, right? Because I recognize exactly where this comes from. I recognize, yes, it's the Psyduck illustration, right? Right? Because I actually, I used to use that as my wallpaper on my phone. I actually have that. I have that. I could honestly change it right now to that. Wait, let me open my phone. Right now it's like Umaru-chan right now, but I'll change it back to the Psyduck one. Show the reference? Wait, hold on. Is there a way I can do this really quickly? I'll do it after stream if I remember. But yeah. So let me pull up what you asked for this. Okay. So, you said, my eternal struggle is shading and render, but I think in this one I was able to do slightly better with it. Okay. Wait, sorry, I need a burp. Ugh. Okay. Alright. So, this one, if you want advice for lighting and shading, or shading and rendering. Okay. Shading and rendering. First, I think what you could do is... Let me think. Because the reference that you based this off of, if you look at it closely, there's going to be a light source coming in from... Hold on. Coming in from... here, right? Probably the fluorescent bathroom lighting, right? Then you're going to have to make sure that there's like a little bit of a like let me hold on. I can like do this really quickly. You can very quickly just like slap a gradient. I'll just use this color for now, and then I'll change the blending mode. So I'm using a very big airbrush. Whoa. And then set this to like, whoa. Well, multiply and then lower the opacity a bit. So it's a very subtle lighting, but that type of subtleness, like with the gradients, really helps like give off that lighting. You really have to pay attention to, especially when it comes to flat surfaces like walls. You have to see how the light diffuses, because if you don't shade that part, the lighting will feel very flat. Big, yeah, big. And then you can do the same thing. Actually, I should have just kept this big. And then just wait. I'm gonna do that. And then change it to like a maybe like a screen, and lower the opacity a bit. See? So you see how it's like brighter at the top and then a little darker at the bottom? That's gonna help you get like the base lighting overall. So just try to break up like each section of the drawing into like overall shapes, and then imagine how the lighting is going to affect that. Yeah. And then let me think. Is there... I'm looking at the reference. What else can you do here? Ooh, another thing I noticed with this reference is this really helps with the glass material on the... Whoa. That's not what I meant to do. With the glass door. So if you just select the glass, right? And I'm not... Just pretend I got that doorknob out. But it seems like the edges of the glass here also... What's it? This is, I believe, just from the material. But if I take like a white and kind of just get the outer edges. It already feels more glass-like. I think when you're looking at reference, some things you want to pay attention to is how, like, obviously you'll be able to tell like if a material is different from something else because you're like, oh yeah, that's a door, or like, oh that's carpet or whatever, right? But you want to see how the shading is different with each material, because that actually is what makes it look like the material is. Not necessarily because like it's shaped like a door, so it's a door, right? Think about the material that makes it up, and then yeah, because like imagine you have a sphere. If everything was a sphere, right? If we've got a sphere of like water, or like a sphere of like wood, right? It's not the shape that's going to convince you that it is made of that material. It's the way it's like the shadows are shaded on it, and like obviously color too, but like say we got brown water and brown wood, right? Then we're not relying on like we're not relying on color. We're just relying on how light reflects on like the textures of the material. Things like that. But yeah. So those are just some tips. Since you have a reference, it's going to be very much like an art study. So just like pay attention to like little details like that. How the light reflects on different areas. Like you can pay attention to like edges, and like which sides of a certain material is the light reflecting on, where the shadows, what part of the edges is the shadows on, things like that. So like for water too, you can usually figure out like where the light is coming from, if you see where the reflections on the water is. So if it's only on like one side, it's obvious the light is obviously going to be coming from that direction. But yeah, anywho, I hope that helps, and we're going to move on to the next one. But thank you so much for the shimmy here. Yeah, cute Mega Neko though. Okay, this one, hold on. This one was by It's So Good. I also believe It's So Good was here earlier in chat. I don't know if they still are, but It's So Good asked, let's see. So you said that the submission below, it's drawn in paint, MS. Oh my god, you're a trooper. I took inspiration from the game Claire Obscure Expedition 33 to draw the uniform in the background. I have unfortunately not played that game, so I don't know what that reference is, but I also don't know most references. But since you didn't have any specific questions, I guess I'll just give my overall opinion? Advice? Yeah. Okay. Alright, so first I think let's focus on the hair, because I think the first thing I noticed is the hair, the overall shading on the hair, I think is pretty uniform. So it's kind of hard to tell where the lighting is supposed to hit on the hair. But I think what's also a little confusing too might be that because the hair gets lighter towards the ends of the hair, but the same shade is being used to shade the hair overall. So I think first let's try to make the shading of the hair, since it's supposed to get lighter at the ends, I believe, we should make it a different tone than the shading here. So for example, if I eye drop this, right? If I eye drop this and I draw it down here, it's the same color, right? So I think making those two colors a little bit different, even if just by a little bit, it'll help with that. And because her hair is blue and the water behind her is also very blue, right? I think what you can do to help her pop out a little bit more is to make... There's either two options. It depends on what kind of lighting you want for this scene. You could have the water be darker so the hair stands out a bit more, or you can make the hair darker, which I think is an option you can go for because the lighting or the shading on the hair is very uniform. So you can, let me just get turn this into a multiply layer, and then just like immediately just getting some shading here. And then what you could do is like give the edge of her hair like a rim lighting, and that'll really help separate what's it, the hair from the water. So if I get that, and oh my god. Obviously not that much, but like just a little bit more. Like that. And obviously do a better job with the brushwork than I'm doing right now. But yeah. Does that make sense? Because when you make illustrations with backgrounds, you have to keep in mind about how to make the character pop out from the background. So yeah, it does make sense. Perfect. And also, there's a lot of things going on here too. So I think some advice for like composition is you want to think about what your focus is, right? Immediately when it comes to character illustrations, people's like the eye is just naturally going to look at the face first. And then I think the next thing I'm going to look at is probably this. Sorry. It's probably going to be this. Wait. This. So, if that's your intention, then that's fine. But if that's not your intention, then one way to really cheat it is just to take whatever layers you have on in the background, but also you're working in paint, so I don't know if you can do this, but just take the background and just slightly blur it a little bit, because with people's eyes, like naturally when we focus in on something, like the stuff in the background or the foreground gets blurred a bit, right? So yeah, it is intentional. It's an important place in the game. Okay. Then I think that's fine then. You can keep it there. I think one way to improve this then is to make so if we draw over kind of like the lines in the background, right? We've got like one line straight across here. We've got one line kind of like straight across here. If we change the composition where the river is kind of like... I don't know how accurate this is supposed to be, but like if the river can be maybe like a little more curved so that the lines are all kind of like pointing towards the 55. I think that will help. Yeah. So that's my advice for composition. Let me drink some water. Okay. Hey! Blair님, 안녕하세요. Hi, Boko. Okay. But, I don't know. I hope that's probably already a lot to work on. So I'll just leave it at that. But thank you for your submission. Paint is crazy. You're crazy. Next up, we've got Rock On. So I believe this is just a character design submission, not necessarily like an illustration. So Rock On says, I've been trying to do some character designs. This is my latest character that I've made. I'd like to hear your opinions on it and if there is anything I can do to improve on it. Her name's May, by the way. May's so cute. Pink hair girl. Cute. Thank you so much for your submission. Where the fuck did my mouse go? My mouse disappeared! Where is my mouse? Okay, there it is. Alright. Thank you so much for your submission again. I don't know if you're still here. I'm pretty sure I saw you earlier. Or maybe I'm hallucinating. I don't know. These are names that I see very regularly in chat, so... sometimes I'm like, yeah, they are here! Because I'm like, conditioned that they're here. I wonder if Blair has any experience in designing pink hair characters. I mean, this is a different shade of pink though, I will say. But okay, so first things first, I think the first, the immediate, thing I noticed with your design was that the colors are very well balanced in this design, actually. So I don't think I need to say too much about that, but I think what's lacking a little bit is perhaps the, like, if I'm not looking at these expressions and stuff, or like the pose or whatever, it's a bit difficult to see what the outfit is trying to say about the personality or what type of character this is. So like I could probably get maybe like a like an idea of like what she does, because she has like a very like Eastern inspired like clothing. You can see some objects by her waist as well, and she has like this giant staff that probably serves as a weapon as well. So it gives off like a Eastern like fantasy type vibe. But at least when I design stuff, I do keep that stuff in mind as well, like the occupation or like the race or whatever, right? But like, does the colors that I'm using, or like the way the types of articles of clothing, like what does it say about the personality, right? Even the shape of the hair can help a lot too, because like there's a reason why there are like, say for like anime for example, there's a reason why with like himedere type of characters you're gonna see like drills, like hair drills, right? Or like with like tsundere type characters you'll see like pigtails or whatever, right? So obviously you're not gonna want to go to like a very strict like cookie cutter like stereotypical type of design like that, right? But you want to take elements of that, mix them with whatever other types of personality or like character, and mix those together to make something new, you know? So I think you could play a lot more with the shape of her hair, perhaps, to give off like what kind of character she is. I think I really like these short bangs, though. I think the short bangs could really help say something with like perhaps like her innocence and stuff. Because short bangs typically give off a more innocent, childlike vibe. Though I'm not sure if that's the type of personality she has. And if she's supposed to be like a super mature type of character, then that's on me. Sorry. But what's it? I think playing with the silhouette of her hair. I think you could play with the silhouette a lot more. At least one thing that I learned when I was taking I actually took a couple of character design classes back when I was in Magic Academy. And one thing my professor told me was always like, how can you push the shapes in your design more? Like say for example this bow, right? This bow. Like, how can you exaggerate this bow even more? Because this bow seems to be like a center point too to this design, right? Like the things that immediately stick out to me is like this bow, the pink hair, these objects by her waist, the staff. How can you really push the shapes of this so that the silhouette is a little more interesting to look at, but also like how does that silhouette also support what type of character she is, right? So I think first you can just start playing with shapes. So like maybe like take the bow and like really push like the loops a bit. See what type of shapes you can get. So like maybe just like make the loops bigger and then like keep the strands shorter, or maybe you could do the opposite where you keep the loops the same size, but make the strands longer. Just like pushing things like that can make really interesting designs. And just once you push enough shapes, obviously once you start pushing a little too much, the design gets a little wacky. So obviously you need to find like a good balance. And then also there's just like your personal preference of what you think looks aesthetically pleasing, right? So it's a very hard balance of trying to see what works and what is actually unique too, because you want your design to stick out from others, right? But also making it so that it doesn't look too crazy, you know what I mean? Because sometimes less is more. I feel like a lot of designs, there's definitely that design style of like maximalism or whatever, where you just put so much shit on top of it. That definitely exists. There's nothing wrong with that either. But I think personally a strong design doesn't need a lot, in my opinion. So, just at least for me, when I start designs, I try to focus on one thing and how to push that, and then how to make the rest of the design support that one thing that I want people to look at. I kind of think of it as like similarly to composition. Like, what is the subject? What is the eye going to look at first? And then how do I make the other elements support that? So yeah. Yeah. Because you can't have too many like, you can't have too many, what's it, like, can't have too many main characters, you know what I mean? Yeah. But this is really cute. I'm a big fan of like these colors. I love the pink, I love the purple. You know how I am with purple. And yeah. Okay. So I hope that helped. Honestly, I also don't really know, like I'm not a professional designer either, so that's just my opinion, but you don't have to take it, by the way. I'm still learning how to do this stuff too, honestly, so yeah. Anyways, thank you so much for your submission. Okay, let me drink some water. I'm like super analytical mode today. What do you think, guys? Am I showing you a different side to me? Do I look cool? Do I sound cool? I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. Sometimes I feel like I sound like a know-it-all or whatever, when in reality I don't know anything. When you were talking about the bow being big, do you mean kind of like Yamato from One Piece? I don't know who that is. I know One Piece, but I don't know who Yamato is. Very smart today. Thank you. I'm flattered that you think I sound smart. Alright, this submission is from Lomzy. Thank you so much for your submission. You said, here's some of my works over the course of this year. I wasn't sure if we were only supposed to submit one, and if so, just critique the first one and ignore the other two. Okay, yeah, I did only pick one this time just because there are already a good amount of other submissions. So, I just picked the one that you told me to, and since you don't really have any specific questions, I'll just talk about just my general opinion, I guess. So, in terms of like the anatomy and like composition, I don't really think I have much to say about that. You have a very stylistic way of drawing like anatomy, so I don't think I should really make too many comments on that. But I think the flat coloring is also a choice, but I'm like wondering if if there's no shading because if that was a choice from you or not. Because it's a very flat styled coloring. I do see some shading in like the hair a little bit with the blue. And like a little bit on the thighs here. I also don't know if you're in chat right now, but I think first if you're going to shade this, I think you need to make sure that if there are any colors that are very similar to each other, and they're overlapping, like colors on specific parts of the drawing that are not like the same. Like for example, okay, I'm not making any sense. Let me just give you the examples. For example, the first thing that stuck out to me was this glove, her hand, and her sleeve. If I were to zoom out, they kind of blend in together. So the first thing that I would do if you were to shade this is to start by making this sleeve a little darker. Hold on. Making the sleeve a little darker here. And then this glove, have the reflective light on this side of her hand. Obviously do a better job with the brushwork. And it's already going to help pop out a bit more, like help section out the different parts of the drawing. Yeah. Nice shadow on the wall behind. Yes, I do like that. I do like that too. It gives off a very like spot-like feel, which is very fitting for this drawing, considering Serena's holding a mic. Another Serena fan art. I just realized that. But yeah, so like another area you could like do that thing that I just explained with like the shading and stuff to help section things. You could probably also do it here, where the frills on her sleeve and then the her chest area, they kind of blend in here. What else? I think you could also work on the shading for the glove in general because the fabric, the underside of the fabric is blending in with the outside of the fabric, so it's hard to get that 3D feel from it. So start making this part a little bit darker, and then have some reflective light from the skin on it, so it's easier to get the shape. Same thing with like the fingers too, because the fingers also start blending in a little bit. I think it's just what's it? Sectioning things off. Don't I think the what's it? Perhaps the reason why maybe you didn't before was I think you're very good about sectioning things like with your line art. The line art is very solid. It's very clean. I think you just support the line art a bit more with the shading, and then I think you'll be fine. In terms of like things starting to blend in with each other. I think what you could also do too is if you have the line art on its own layer, put an alpha lock on it, and then just like color the line art a little bit so that what's it? In areas where like say you see how like this part of her dress is like black, right? You can make the line art a bit darker. And then where like areas where it's lighter, say her hair for example, you can make it a little lighter. Things like that. It will give the liner a bit more of a 3D effect while still being flat in general, if that makes sense. Because I feel like your way of your style, your art style is a very like kind of like a graphic feel to it, you know what I mean? So yeah. Also, hold on, I do need to check something. 1 second. Okay. Alright. Sorry about that. Okay, but thank you so much for your summation. I hope that helps. Yeah. I'm like every time I talk about someone's art, I always sweat a little inside because I don't want to offend anyone. I need water. I feel like I've been yapping a lot. You have glasses? Of course you're smart. Is that how that works? Is that how that works? Okay, but moving on. So, we've got a submission from AJ Artist. I believe I saw AJ earlier. I don't know if they're still here. This is Poma, isn't it? There's a lot of V4 Mirai fans, I just realized, huh? But let's see. Let's see what you have to say. Came in a little too late, but hey, hello, Lomsy! Hi! Wait, I think we literally was just looking at your what's it? We were just looking. Hold on, was it the? Yeah, we just finished talking about your submission. just check the VOD. Okay, but Lomsy, no, AJ. So let's see. You said my favorite drawing that I would for sure try to improve on if I were to redo it now, which is the one that you submitted. I like doing lineless art, but the render time usually steers me to do it very sparingly nowadays. Yeah. I agree. It's also one of the reasons why I don't do lineless art. I need a burp. People who do lineless line art, or just no line art, what's it? They need to section off their illustration very well with like the correct like colors and like shading and stuff, which is like one of my weaker points. So which is why I don't do that. You're a trooper. But yeah. So okay. I don't think you had anything specific that you wanted to ask for this. So, I'm just gonna talk about the shading then, since lineless art is basically relies on shading. Shading and like the colors, just blocking out the the subject through like colors and shades. Let me think. First things first, I think you're really good at getting the shadows down. I think you can play a bit more with reflective light though. Especially in a piece like this where there are like neon lights in the background, you're gonna get a lot of reflective light. So, first, I think you could... What's it? In the hand here, I think this will be a really easy place to get some reflective light. So, you see how like you got the shadows towards the edges. You're just going to... I'm gonna do this really bad. But like you're just going to put some reflective light. Obviously not in the way where you're completely covering all the shading work that you had with the shadows here. Like I am. But this is just for you to get an idea. But if you start doing that, it'll make your art feel a little more 3D, which is, I think, the vibe you're going for with this. Maybe if I... Nah, I think it's fine. Just ignore the really bad brushwork, Lamau. And then same thing with the sleeve here. Let me maybe if I change the type of brush. Same thing with the sleeve here. I'm going to do like maybe like a... What kind of color should we do? I think we should do like a blue. Like maybe this shade. Okay, I'm gonna do this on another layer. Like that. Because you have lots of pink lighting hitting on the top of the sleeve, so that's why I'm using blue on the bottom. And then I'm gonna change this to maybe like... Nope, not an overlay. Something like that. Ugh. And then cleaning up the shapes of the reflective light a bit. Something like that. Yeah, that jacket gave me a headache since it was partially transparent and reflective. Yeah, I could see that. Working with transparency also drives me crazy. Yeah. Oh my gosh. But I think what'll help is if you have some of the color of whatever is underneath the jacket. So for this, on her arm, it's going to be her sleeve, right? If you take a little bit of that color, like I drop it, and then kind of like wherever the sleeve is overlapping on the sleeve, wherever the sleeve is overlapping on the arm, just like color that a little bit, and then lower the opacity a bit. And it will help a lot with the transparency feel. Also, you want to keep in mind too, if there are folds, so there are folds in this, right? Or wrinkles, when transparent fabric overlaps on top of each other, it becomes a little more opaque, which is the reason why I didn't color over the folds. Because it will be less transparent, hence you won't see as much of the skin under. So yeah, you could apply the same type of effect with other areas similarly, and yeah. And then I'd say for the hair, it's got the overall same type of shading throughout. It's very universal, so I think immediately to make this pop out a bit more, just grab another layer and then probably just like do a clipping mask to the hair, and then take like, I drop like this pink or whatever like color the light is giving off, right? And then like just make an overall lighting on the hair, and then change the blending mode to maybe like yeah, like a screen, I think will look nice. And then, what's it? If we want the reflective light to be a bit more blue, then we'll have a blue, like, let's call, I drop that and then, whoosh. Jesus, it's so bright. Oh my god, that's actually really bright. Maybe you make it a little darker. Maybe towards the bottom? Oh, hold on. I need to get the right shade for this. Just a little bit on the edges. I think for this also too, because with the way the lighting is set up, the lights are also... It's gonna be basically all around her, but you can do a rim lighting on this as well because the lights are so bright behind her. Though I am assuming there's gonna be a bunch of lights around her in general, but it'll help with the shading of this. Yeah. Brr. Yeah. Because like I think in terms of shading the hair, you don't need to do more. Just put some lighting effects on it and it'll help give it a more 3D feel with what you got going on with the rest of your illustration. Yeah. Okay. I hope that helps. I think my advice is just reflective lighting for like the hand and stuff and like other parts of the body as well. Get some like light effects on her hair so it feels a little more 3D like the rest of the drawing. And for transparency, keep in mind to have like some of the color underneath the jacket peek out a bit, and then you should be fine. Okay. Thank you for your submission. I hope that helped. I know you guys are probably just listening to me, which is why there's not a lot going on in chat right now. But like, I'm just imagining I'm like a teacher, and you guys are my students, and no one's like raising their hands, and I'm like, I know you guys are listening, but in the back of my head, I'm also like, oh gosh, I hope they are listening. I hope they're not bored. It helps a lot, actually. I'll keep it in mind for the next piece. I'm glad. Okay. Yeah. Hi, I'm back. Did you do mine? Yeah, we already did. I think once the VOD, when the stream is done and the VOD is up, you can check it out. Okay. Sensei, I think you're doing a great job. Oh, thank you. Definitely listening, already making me feel like getting my ass back to the art mines. Hell yeah! If anything, I hope this is motivating for you guys. Yeah. I'm listening while I'm working. Oh, okay. Yeah. I did take your guys' silence as more as just like you guys are listening intensely. So, yeah. Okay. Alright. Next piece. This is Blanc Ale. I actually saw this piece before. Thank you for your submission, Lamau. This is the Mega Nekos, but like Saja Boys edition. It's a very good piece. Let's see what you asked for it though. Okay, so Blanc says, one of my favorite pieces so far, Saja Mega Nekos. I ended up listening to your idol on loop for the entire drawing stream. Well, this time I experimented with lighting in Procreate's texture brushes, skipped liner, and used rough wool. And I think that's everything they said. Yeah. Honestly, I feel like there's not really much to say for this. I feel like this piece is very finished. Because the style itself is also just like, it's a very graphic but also cartoony type of feel. It's a very what's it? The lighting and the effects are also already like, this feels finished. But if we want to nitpick, I think what we could do is let me think. If you really wanted to, You could... This is a stylistic choice, though. So I'm not sure if this is the vibe you would want to go for. But you could take the line art layer and... Hold on, maybe I can even select it with the magic brush. Take the line art layer and even start getting the lighting to affect the line art as well. So let me just like... I'll eye drop this and like... start like throwing some very simple lighting effect on the line art. Not too much though, because I do actually like the very black what's it? Bold line art. So I don't really want to change that, to be honest. But just on the outside of the line art to mimic kind of like a rim lighting with this as well. Yeah. I think that will be good. Yeah, something like that, but maybe not as much. I already I think I did too much, to be honest. I really do like the graphic or like bold line art, so... Let me reselect this. Oh, I can't now. Hold on. There we go. So not too much. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You got the lighting of the fire down very well too, by the way. Cause what's it? With fire, really hot fire, you make it super like white towards the center and then have the actual color like saturation towards the edges. So I think you did a good job with that. I don't know if I have much else to say, to be honest. This is a very finished piece, in my opinion. I think maybe actually to improve this is to go even crazier with these the markings. Kind of to similarly emulate the texture you've got going on in your line art. So like I'm just gonna very roughly like erase some of what's it? Or like draw over the markings. To give a more like scratchy feel that you've got with the line art. Does that make sense? But at this point, I'm just nitpicking, I feel like. But if you apply that type of thing, this type of texture throughout, like everything, with like the markings and stuff, maybe even like the lighting as well. Like the lighting has a very like clean cut feel to it. That's... I mean, you could or you cannot. At this point, the suggestions I'm giving you are just stylistic choices. So, yeah, that's what I would have to say. The liner looks like a Japanese style feeling to me. Yeah, like calligraphy. Okay. But yeah. Sure. Thank you so much for your submission. I'm sorry I couldn't really give that much more advice, Lamau. But I hope that helps. And I believe the next submission is the last submission. So, thank you, Cairo, for your submission. I remember seeing this piece actually. So let me see what exactly you had to say about it, though. So you said. Started drawing with pixel art and recently bought a tablet to try digital. This is one of the first I'm happy with. I generally feel clueless when choosing brushes and coloring. Proportions could be better too, but I still think I improved while drawing this one. Yeah! Oh my god, congrats on the tablet. I know transitioning over to digital is not easy. It can take quite a while to get used to. I think for me, I only really started to feel comfortable with digital maybe after like a year and a half of using it. And even still, I only feel comfortable enough to draw on my iPad. If I try to draw on my Cintiq, my drawing speed, my efficiency it's remarkably like slower. Yeah. Yeah. Another case of Mega Nickels imagining themselves as the bugs around Blair. I know. What's up with that? You do realize all the bugs I catch end up dying, right? She's gonna destroy him? No, that's not true. Yeah, I feel so slow with the tablet. Same. I feel that. But trust me, if you just keep using it more and more, don't try to make finished pieces actually. If you're new to digital drawing, I think just try to get used to one stage of the illustration process, and then once you're comfortable doing that, move on to the next stage. So like, get used to sketching first. And finding whatever sketch brush you like using. Once you're done with that, then you can start thinking about like, ooh, let's find some brushes that feel nice for line art, right? Either maybe line art or maybe you want to color, right? But just pick one and then try to find the brushes you like using for those. Typically, honestly, you really don't need to find any fancy brushes. Like, almost like, I feel like a lot of artists that I come across use just the default brush. So like the regular like hard pressure brush or like airbrush and stuff. So, and I also too, I really only just use the default brushes, and then I just like adjust the pressure settings of it to match like the way I like put my pen on the tablet. So, yeah. I'm still learning features and ways of making the process easier after about a year and a half of going digital too. Oh yeah, no, me too. A part of me is just taking a while to actually find all these like shortcuts, mostly just because like once I figure out how to do it one way, I don't really think too much about how to do it another way to make it faster. And that's on me, but yeah. Took me a while to get used to my tablet. I only really use 5 brushes. Yeah, it also took me a while as well. I think the brushes that I use, like, I only have, like... I mean, it depends on the type of drawing I'm doing. If I'm doing, like, a gremlin doodle, then I'll use a different set of brushes. But, like, for illustrations, I think I only really use, like 3 different types of brushes. My line art brush, which is basically just, like, a hard pressure brush with, like, the pressure settings adjusted. And then I have the regular hard pressure brush that's not where the settings aren't adjusted, and then I have the airbrush, and that's usually just the brushes that I use. Maybe I'll use like a rake brush or like some other brushes, but usually those are only for like last step like touch-ups or whatever, or like effects or whatever. And besides that, I don't really use that many different brushes. I already have like, I feel like there's already a lot to keep track of, so having too many brushes can lead up to too many different textures and make things look more complicated than they need to be, you know? Okay, but anywho, so Cairo, you wanted advice with like, okay, so I did talk about brushes and stuff. Coloring. Okay, coloring and proportions. Okay. I need a burp. 1 second. Okay. Coloring. Alright. First, I think with this drawing, the first thing I can tell is I think you're a little afraid to push your shadows. I think what you have so far is good, but start thinking about where things can start to get darker. So, like, for me, immediately, I think the armpit here can get darker. So, like, I kind of do, like, I do think the shadow that you have going on with the arm right now is good. It's a nice subtle shadow, but now we need to push the dark. So we're going to eyedrop this, make it a little darker, and and like start drawing. start drawing where it would start to get darker. So like around here. Obviously do a better job than I am right now. And another tip too when it comes to shading, really play with like hard edge and then like airbrush. Like you see what I kind of just did right now? Like you see there's like an harder edge here, but then it's like more of like an it's like kind of like fading out here. If you can master having your shadows have a mix of those, so like some edges are gonna be harder and some edges are gonna be softer, it'll give your piece and like the shadows feel a lot more 3D. If you're going for the 3D look though. So yeah, I'm just gonna do that, and I think the lighting too. I think lighting is one thing you kind of learn as you do it more, like where shadows are supposed to be placed. And that's also partially an anatomy thing too. Drawing anatomy is one thing to make it look correct, but like because art is 2D, it's a bit harder to understand how it's supposed to look 3D, right? So that's, I think, why drawing anatomy is one thing, but understanding it in a 3D sense is what's really going to affect your lighting. So first things first is your head, or this is technically my head, is big, right? And my neck is small. My head on top of my neck is definitely going to cover the shading here. Like it's going to cover, like the shadows are going to cover here. So just like that, like we're going to just block out the shadows a bit more. And then another tip too, like to figure out like where things should get a little bit darker, is like if something is like creasing on top of each other, I kind of like have like this triangle shaped like shadow to help support the crease. Like that. Does that make sense? But yeah, I like the shading you did on the hand. I think you could just push it a little bit more. You don't need to do a lot. Just like maybe around the knuckles and then like blend it out a little bit. Yeah. Basically just pushing your darks and pushing your lights. Obviously right now I'm only really doing like shadows. But you want to have this same idea with your your lights. Oh my god. Ah! Sorry. Yeah. Something like that, and a little bit here too. Because the light, I believe, is coming from the whoa. It's coming from like this direction, right? So actually, there might not be a shadow here. There might be a highlight here instead, actually. Because boobs are basically just balls, guys. Just think of each boob as a ball, and then how does light hit a ball? That's how you shade boobs. I'm sorry. I should have thought of a more proper ladylike way to say it. But yeah. Mini-screen task got it, did I? Oops. Make the shadow here a little bit darker. And then once you get more confident with placing shadows, then I think you can start thinking about reflective light. Just focus on getting one part of the, like, one aspect of lighting down first at a time. Don't try to like do shadows and then like, oh, reflective light, and then back to shadows, and then back do like highlights, and then back to like reflective light. I think that can get a little bit confusing. I mean, some people might do that. But like in general, it's usually best to get to work on the overall illustration one step at a time, so that the consistency of how finished it looks, it's like the illustration looks finished throughout the piece. So doing it like one step at a time will avoid making the illustration look less finished in certain areas compared to others. But Sometimes that might be a stylistic choice, like maybe because like I see sometimes like people will just like really hyper render the face, and then like as you look away from the face, it starts getting a little sketchier. That's fine. I've seen stuff like that too, but it just depends on what you're looking for. And then I think the shadows of this hair can be pushed a bit more, so like some strands can be a little bit darker, and then there can also be some reflective light in here too. So get some strands like that. Just like not everything, just like some areas. I really need to pee. I drink so much water this stream. Yeah. Blah blah blah. Like think about like where like what parts of the hair, like you see how like this the front strands, you can very visibly see the sections, right? Because they're like physically separated, right? Can you use those shadows to also separate the sections in the hair in the back, even though they're not actually physically separated, right? The shadows just help shape where like where the hair would be sectioned. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Yeah. A semi-perfectly spherical boob with no air resistance lamel. Okay, well, that's not how it works, but whoa, what is going on? Why can't I rotate this? Whoa. Whoa! Okay, whatever. But yeah. So I think you probably get the idea when it comes to shading. I could keep working on this, but the other thing you wanted to ask was what was it again? Proportions. Okay. I think your proportions are fine in this though. Hold on. I think if there's anything that's sticking out to me though is maybe like I think what's it? This piece of the hair is sticking out to me here. I think because the way you have the face facing, it's facing this way, right? You're going to have this strand in front of this piece of the hair. Just to help give that 3D effect, you know? Hold on, whoa. Whoa, what is going on? Sorry. I'm like freaking out. You guys have no idea what's happening. So if you just erase that and then make the line art so that it's more like this, it helps support the direction of the face. Yeah, that makes sense. Good. I'm glad it can help. Oh my god, why can't I rotate this? It's not letting me. Interesting. But anywho, yeah. I think in terms of shading though, you have a good base. You just need to push the darks a bit more. And you'll be good. Proportions are fine. I think in this piece it's fine. I think anatomy wise, there's some things that can be like nitpicked, but I think this is overall fine. I think if I were to really nitpick, I would push this torso. Hold on. I would push this torso a little bit in this way, because imagine if I didn't have boobs, right? And this went up, right? The boob would have to start from here, but we have the boob starting from here, right? So wherever the boob is starting to, protrude out, that's where the that's where the edge of the torso is going to be, you know? But because the direction of this torso is like going kind of like in this direction, you were going to assume it's going to be somewhere around here. But because we see that the boob is starting to protrude out here, this torso needs to be pushed back a little bit. Yeah. You would rather not. It's just hypothetical, guys. It's just art critique. It's not actually real. Don't worry. But does that make sense? Another thing too is that the arm. Usually when it comes to arms, there's always going to be a straight side and a more like round side, because the arm, when it twists, there's So say I'm like I'm just drawing my arm from like palm up, right? Don't mind the really bad drawing. There's going to be more muscle on this part of the arm, and the bone is going to be closer to the edge here. So keep that in mind when you're drawing. So this should actually be a little bit more straight, and then this can be like this can be curved like how it is, but this should be a little bit more straight. Sorry. I've got phlegm in my throat. Hi Blair, hi Blanc, welcome in. But yeah, this is coming. This came out really good though. I think if you wanted to work on this bit more, like just the shadows and stuff, and like it's very cute. Thank you. Thank you for drawing me. And yeah. Also, there's another thing too. There's like shading and then there's lighting. They're kind of similar, right? But in how I see it, shading is like you're getting like the overall structure. You're shaping out to the 3D structure. So like you can do that with the line art here with like the armpit, or like you can shape it a bit more with like the shading here. But then lighting will affect like I think of it as kind of like sometimes like lighting effects too. It's like there's like a mix. Sometimes I'll actually draw in the lighting with the shadows. Like, yeah, I'm probably not making a lot of sense right now, but say this is as much shading as you want to do, and then I'm going to do like an overall like lighting thing on top of it, which will still just affect all the shading. So I'm going to take like maybe like this color. Just like shade here. Like that. Like that. So what I just did was I kind of just did like an airbrush effect to give it more of like an atmospheric lighting, and change the blending mode to a screen, and then like lower the opacity. You know, obviously you want to make it a little cleaner so it's like not bleeding as much, and you want the shading to actually support the shape of the subject, right? But things like that can also, you can really like just shape out the lighting really quickly that way as well. Yeah, screen layer. Yep, screen layer. Screen layer. But yeah. There could also be some reflective light on, like, under the... Reflective light. Like, right here. Hold on. Like that. Obviously do a better job than I am right now. Whoa. Like that. Like, it's a little lighter, but not as light as, like, the direct lighting. But yeah, okay. Anywho. Yeah. I hope that helps. If anything doesn't make sense, please let me know. I feel like I just blabbed a lot this whole stream, but I hope it was helpful. I feel like when it comes to art, I can really, like, go on and on and on about it, so... Thank you. No, you're welcome. Thanks for submitting. I hope this was helpful for you guys. I know you guys were interested in having like an art critique from me, so yeah. Anywho, that was the last submission though, so I think I will wrap it up here. Yeah, it was good. Helpful Blab, thank you. I'm glad. So much info from Sensei. Do you have time for one more? I threw one on the text. Sorry, I'm only going to be reviewing the ones that were submitted beforehand. Maybe for the next critique. Yeah. But yeah, Lazy Slaw, thank you so much for the super insightful tips. Thank you. It's fun to have art discussions like this. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like what's it? Getting to talk about art with fellow like art nerds is always fun. So I hope I can submit something if you do this again in the future. Yeah, I would love to do this again in the future. Probably not anytime soon since we just did this one. But maybe like in another month or so. I could do this again if you'd like. Yeah. Hi Blair, how's stream? How's stream been? It's been going well. We just finished up the critiques, so yeah. Thanks for stream. Wishing you a blurry good rest of your day. Thank you. I'm wishing you a very blurry great good rest of your day. I can't talk. Oh my god. Do you share your favorite artist pics with your artist friends? My artist friends don't really talk a lot, so no. But but I do retweet a lot of art that I like on my old Twitter, so you can say that that's how I share. Yeah. Blair's so good at explaining. Really? Are you being serious? I'm so happy to hear that actually, cause like I feel like sometimes, cause like what's it? Like if you want to explain something to someone who doesn't understand the concept, you have to make sure to say it in like terms where like you're not using like fancy language, if that makes sense. I'm not saying you guys are dumb. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying like you have to in order to be a good teacher or someone who's really good at giving advice, you have to understand their perspective, if that makes sense. Right? Right? You have to like place yourself in their shoes to actually understand the root of the problem, right? Okay. I need you to keep it to double syllable words at most. I mean, I have trouble pronouncing freaking words that are like, what, 4 syllables? What was that word I was having trouble with? Complimentary? Complimentary? Yeah. Always put it in baby terms. Yeah. But anywho, I think we will end it here. But we will raid. Who's streaming right now? I do have another stream tomorrow. It's gonna be an ASMR stream. Hopefully it'll happen. I never know with what's it, my environment. So yeah, it might happen at the time I scheduled it. It might happen a little later if it gets delayed. Depending. It's just I need to find a good time for it to be quiet. But it's a bit hard to predict that at times. So if it doesn't happen, then it doesn't happen. We'll do a different stream. But if it does happen, yeah. Okay. Anyways, we're gonna raid Tomoe. She's sick. She's sick. So please wish her well. Mega Neko's marching in is the raid message. I got it right this time. Last time I said charging in, and I was like, oh my god, that feels so forceful. But yeah. Oh my god. I'm like wondering if I should try to get like a gorilla Zatsu soon, because like I wanna actually just yap about just mundane regular stuff, not just art. Like I mean, talking about art is fine too, but like I want to talk about my life. I want to talk about your life too. So maybe I'll do another gorilla stream for this week. Another stream. A gorilla stream. Not another gorilla stream, because I haven't done a gorilla stream this past week yet, but yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Anywho, go say hi to Tomoe. And yeah. Okay. I really need to freaking pee, so I'm gonna end the stream now. Okay. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.